I never thought I would have the chance to talk about the Final Fantasy Legends series in 2020. Throughout my years as a gamer, it's been this known secret that what we were actually playing on our Game Boy was the SaGa series under a different name. Marketing stunt or not, I played the game for the Final Fantasy in the title, but SaGa ended up becoming one of my favorite series of all time. The collection of SaGa Final Fantasy Legend combines all three entries of Final Fantasy Legends into one package. The game retains many of its retro systems and non-traditional RPG features, but it also gives gamers a chance to play this trilogy that still has plenty of adventures to offer. The collection of SaGa Final Fantasy Legend has a few added playing options that make it more accessible to modern gamers. For starters, you can change the speed to either normal or fast. It works wonders for early level grinding and makes dungeon exploration less tedious. Further, the game takes full advantage of the Switch touchscreen, allowing you to remove the Joy-Con and play exclusively using the touchscreen. The screen options also allow you to twist it vertically and pretend to play on a Game Boy. Aside from that, you can adjust the button placement and change the border backgrounds. These small adjustments feel like Square Enix actually tried with this release instead of a simple port. Funny enough, the series has always allowed players to save anywhere they want outside of battle, so we'll say it's ahead of the time in that regard. As for the games themselves, well, they each have a place in my heart, but they aren't the easiest to understand, so let's begin with the Final Fantasy Legend. When beginning, you can choose a character class to begin your adventure and you're off. But wait, you have no party members with you and no one tells you exactly what to do. This is where your RPG instincts should kick in as you make your way around and talk to townspeople to understand your next steps. The game's plot isn't revealed until much later, but it revolves around unsealing the door at the beginning of the game and collecting some items to do so. The story is what you make it, as you are required to talk to NPCs to truly understand where you're to go and what you're to do. You'll connect the dots along the way, but in the end, you're in for a rather epic climax. Sadly, this game, like the others, lacks detailed instructions on why things happen. Systems such as mutant classes learning and unlearning spells, how weapon degrade works, what feeding a character a piece of meat will do, how stats and level ups work, and so on. It's frustrating in the sense that you'll get to a moment in your first run that you realize that it might be better if you just start over. Final Fantasy Legend 2 really pushed to make this adventure have a much more rounded narrative. Again, players get to choose their character class and a few extras like Robot have been added, and in the early moments of gameplay, your father leaves in search of legendary Magi. Years later, the protagonist sets out to find their father and the rumored Magi, which grants the owner power. This adventure is much more streamlined as your character is chosen in the story's opening moments and you are teamed up with the powerful temporary character for the first dungeon. This entry is actually probably my favorite for its system advancements without really overdoing it. Many features return such as talking to NPCs to understand where to go next and exploring dungeons, but everything is presented in an accessible way. Also, I really like the music in Final Fantasy Legend 2. It's just so epic no matter what you're doing. The entire adventure has you fighting gods, collecting magi, and pretty much saving the world from complete collapse. I can't say I like the comical cliffhanger ending, but everything that happens before it is just awesome JRPG story writing. Final Fantasy Legend 3 is, well, different. It shows the most advancements in systems and designs in the entire series, but I never really cared about the story from its early moments. You see, it deals with time travel, which doesn't mesh well with the fantasy aspects of SaGa. You're tasked with finding an item for your time-traveling spaceship named Talon to defeat an evil that transcends time itself. In this entry, you can jump, which adds a layer of dungeon exploration, and there are still elements of speaking with NPCs to progress. However, I never really felt attached to the battle system or your characters. You're joined by temporary members several times throughout the game, which gives away the level you should be at to progress, and the new battle layout made the monsters look like totem poles. Still, I think this entry resembles what a more modern turn-based RPG was at the time. It delivered information to the player such as level increases in stats and improved menu display for easily equipping your party members. The game's runtime is also significantly longer than the previous two, which makes it a pretty good Game Boy title. Each game within collection of SaGa Final Fantasy Legend is a trip down memory lane. There are some epic moments of storytelling in each that are directly impacted by how you build your party. There's very little hand-holding in these games as they attempt to deliver a genuine adventure to the player through limited hardware. One of the most lacking exclusions of this release is how it doesn't include the DS remakes exclusive to Japan. I've personally played these Game Boy games before and they are fun to return to, but I would have liked to play the ones that haven't officially released in the West. Collection of SaGa Final Fantasy Legend is a great piece of retro RPG history made readily available for modern gamers. The added options add a layer of accessibility that is lacking in the series, but it still retains its minimalistic way of delivering directions and leaves progression in the player's hands. Bottom line, this is an amazing collection for RPG fans, and you won't be disappointed spending an afternoon pretending your Switch is a Game Boy and going on a genuine adventure. Noisy Pixel is giving Collection of SaGa Final Fantasy Legend an 8.5 out of 10. Thank you for watching. Please read the full review on noisypixel.net. Noisy Pixel is run by a group of gamers who work hard to deliver news, reviews, previews, and more. Please subscribe to keep up with all our future content.